Hey, this is Mark watching MTC Media here. Georgetown wrap up. The Hoyas win tonight, 90-81. Five guys scored in double figures. I thought it was a good night for the likes of Jeremiah Williams and Langston Love. I thought that this was the best I'd seen Jeremiah Williams play. I thought he was very aggressive in the spots he needed to be aggressive. He had 6 assists, 5 points. Langston Love, he played the most minutes he's played all year. Took 4 shots, all 4 was threes. He was 2 for 4 from 3, and you can start to see that he's starting to round out. He played a shade under 15 minutes. I'm sure as long as there's not some sort of setback, that will continue to rise. He was obviously supposed to be a huge piece of what this team does, especially with their shooting. And I tell you what, if he's shooting the ball, I'm telling you, this team is different. If he's making shots and they get big minutes back, and now you're talking about you got yourself something going there. But again, Georgetown with a win tonight. A couple of the things that jump out at you: 25 assists with 36 made shots by the Hoyas. I thought Caleb Williams once again had a really, really good shooting day. Second game in a row, 8 for 16, 18 points. You know he's going to get his rebounds. He had 8 rebounds. Big Julius, 16 and 9. KJ had 17. Malik had 15. And Isaiah had 11 to round out the 5 guys that scored in double digits. Now, I know Coach Cooley talked a little bit in the post game about not being very pleased with the defense. I can understand. UMBC shot 48.4%. And look, let's not get this confused. This game was never in danger. It was never in danger, but it also wasn't 100% put away, which is why the guys, your main guys, played until the end. I thought Georgetown was great in the paint, 48 points. This is what they're supposed to do. They got it, as I talked in the pregame, they got it a little bit from everywhere. It wasn't just Julius. It was guys getting 2 feet in the paint. Thought KJ, 7 for 14. I'm going to be frank with you, and I hate to be this guy because it's going to sound like Homer, but it's not being Homer. There was 2 or 3 times I thought he was fouled that they didn't call it, especially on a couple of breakaways. I thought he was fouled. Thought for the most part he played. Look, this game, even though these are college guys, I always like to say this is a professional win. This is like if the Lakers played the Wizards and the Lakers end up winning by 13, and then the only thing you're doing is searching the box score, and you'd be like, oh my gosh, why didn't they beat them by 20? It's the Wizards. UMBC plays very hard. I've seen them in person before now. When they're making threes, and they were 8 for 23 today, they can be, they can stick around and stick around. Georgetown led by as many as 22, and but I thought it was a professional win. Maybe it's not something you're going to put in the Wins Hall of Fame, but it's a win before a big game. And I've always said this, I don't like to ask people this because a lot of times you don't get necessarily an honest answer. But would anyone be shocked if, you're not looking past UMBC on a Wednesday night to Carolina on Sunday? These guys are still young, and at times that happens. And maybe sometimes you kind of put it on cruise control a little bit and stuff like that, knowing that you're at a comfortable distance. It's almost like a guy, you're going into a fight, you think the guy's going to knock him out in 3 rounds, and he cruises to unanimous decision, 116, 112, 116, 112, 117, 111, and then you want to fall apart. Oh my gosh, this was a terrible performance. And maybe that's not always the case. I think there were some things done that's applicable throughout the season. There were some things done, especially with how they're generating open 3-point looks, that certainly if they generate those looks against Carolina, they're going to have these good looks. It's their actions, and as long as they're generating looks in the actions, this team is always going to have a chance. Sometimes they're going to shoot the ball well, sometimes they're not going to shoot the ball well. So, that happens. That happens with every collegiate team out there and some NBA teams. But their actions are getting guys open. Their actions are putting guys in positions to be successful. And, for as much as that was made out of Florida, They did it in Florida. It just wasn't enough in Florida for various reasons. One, you can't give a bunch of baskets and play those teams where you're starting so many of your possessions by inbounding the ball. There's a lot of things, but as Cooley said tonight, that's over. You got to let go of Florida and move on, and you got Carolina on your schedule, and then right after that, you're going to get a Big East game with a Xavier a week later. So it's no time to cry over spilt milk, and what happened in Florida is spilt milk, and it is what you can do, where you need to improve. Are these guys showing it? Are they showing it for the amount of time that you need for them to show it? If those answers are yes, hey man, you've won half the battle. Does that mean you're going to go undefeated? No. But it also means that, on Selection Sunday, you have something to watch. And I don't mean The Simpsons. So, other than that, Georgetown, I thought, did a lot of good things. Jaden Ford had 14 minutes and 18 seconds. He's one of the guys I wanted to watch. He had 2 points, 1 assist, and a couple of fouls and a couple of rebounds. Didn't play as much as I anticipated, just the flow of the game. But like I said, I talked about Jeremiah Williams before the game. He was one of the guys that I wanted to watch, and I thought that the things that he did, along with what Langston Love did, and then Caleb shooting, those were my 3 big takeaways for Georgetown tonight, and those are takeaways and good things. All right, I'm going to get out of here. It is a late night here, with the 8 o'clock tip and all. George Mason last night, Georgetown tonight. I do need a little bit of sleep before a long weekend. But Georgetown 90, UMBC 81. This is Mark Marsh, TC Media.